Really? So is Terminator Dark Fate a great film? No, it's not. Is it a good film? No. It is an average film, unfortunately. So once again, guys, we have another average Terminator film once again. So what would this make it now? The fourth time they've done this. Ever since T2 is obviously rapidly gone downhill. Each film following T2 has basically just got worse and worse and worse. And yeah, this is no exception really. Is it better than Genesis? Just about, but we'll go into that now. So. So let's go into some of the plot first. It's pretty much the same. There's nothing different with this. The plot is pretty much the same. There's hardly any creativity in this movie. They don't really do many things differently. So Terminator is once again sent back in time from an alternative future, which was set by Sarah Connor, of course, in Terminator 2. She thought it would end Judgment Day, but no. This franchise basically says that Judgment Day is inevitable, and the only outcome will just be alternative versions of Judgment Day. So you have this sort of new Terminator coming back to kill a different character, just basically another sort of Sarah Connor character, sent back to kill her because she is going to be the leader of the resistance in a sort of an alternative future. So it's basically the same story, guys. Very average film across the board. You have Linda Hamilton back, Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course. You've got Mackenzie Davis as character Grace, who she is basically like the sort of Kyle Reese of this film. And you have Natalia Reyes, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, as Danny, who is basically the new Sarah Connor. And Gabriel Luna as the new Terminator. Probably Mackenzie Davis is the one whose performance stands out the most, and Linda Hamilton's. Was the return of Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger enough to save the film? Not really. So once again, they tease us with the sort of future war, and once again, these are the only great scenes in the movie when they show that sort of future war. They've done that with all the other previous Terminator films. They've done that with Terminator 3, Salvation, and Genesis, where they're showing that the sort of the war in the future. They've always been like the best scenes in those films, and it's the same here once again. When the fuck will they just give us what everyone wants and what everyone's been asking for years, and just give us more, or rather even just a whole movie set way after Judgment Day, and make it a full-on sort of disaster, survival, post-apocalyptic epic? Is that really too much to ask? That's what pretty much everyone would want. Fans of the franchise, that's what we've been asking for years. We just want to see this like future war actually happen fully on the big screen, but they never seem to do it. They're just constantly teasing us with it. So they pretty much shit on Terminator 2, killing John Connor in the first 10 minutes of the film. This movie was supposed to retcon the other movies after T2, but this also needs to be, in my opinion, retcon, because it's more interesting in starting its own franchise rather than being a true sequel to T2, which was what it was supposed to be. It's just piggybacking off the success of the first two films. It doesn't seem really particularly interested in being this sort of true sequel to T2. I wouldn't really even say it deserves this 15 or mature rating. This easily could have passed for a 12A film. The violence was there, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't particularly a bloody film or even much swearing going on. Quite frankly, I think you've seen probably more violence in like Marvel films. There's a scene right at the start where you see some really, really impressive de-aging, actually, which is one of the only good things about it. One of the only things I can sort of praise about it, really. It's probably the best de-aging I've ever seen in a movie, so I will give it that. But Yeah, so let's go into more of the characters. They make no attempt to really build up the characters. There's no emotion. You don't really feel any emotion in the emotional scenes, and frankly, you just didn't really give a shit about any of the characters. Like I said, they jump straight in with the action. There's no sort of build up, or you don't spend any sort of decent time with the characters. So, for example, a father to one of the main characters dies in the first like 15 minutes, and do we care? No, because there was virtually no time spent with them. There's just no tension, no atmosphere. Bland tone. CGI didn't, the CGI as well didn't look that great, and there's just not much they really add to the lore. It's pretty much the same old shit. The action scenes, one or two action scenes were quite good. Probably the best one being on the plane, but a lot of it you did see in the trailer. And even when there were action scenes going on, even in the best ones, they were sort of cutting away from it a lot as well, which is really annoying. There were particular scenes where you thought, oh yeah, this is a really good opportunity to see a really good action scene. But yeah, just like I said, just kept cutting away from it. And as I said, a lot of it you've seen in the trailer. You have Mackenzie Davis's character Grace, who at one point she cuts a fly in half, and it's like all in slow motion. She literally cuts a fly in half, just to sort of prove who she is, basically, like how strong she is, because she's like augmented. She is. There was one bit where the new Terminator he lands on top of a shed, and there's like a family there, and he says something like, "Oh, nice shed," or something. He says, and you got that. There's like music playing, which was like the music in T2 in the bar scene right at the start, and you got that music playing in that scene, and that was literally that. So that was literally there just for that, just to have that bit of music in there. That's all that scene was for, basically. So even like the new Terminators I won first on, they had these kind of tentacles, like arms, and they just looked stupid. Like I said, no originality, nothing really creative in the sort of storytelling. I mean, if you're going to have a plot as simple as it is, it needs to be told in an interesting and compelling way. You need to have good storytelling. That's why T1 and T2 worked so well, because James Cameron understood that if you're going to have a simple storyline, then the film has got to have substance. It's got to have tension, atmosphere, tone, good directing, thrilling action, great acting to complement the simplicity of the plot. And this movie doesn't work because all those things are just really mediocre, even bad at times. Now, you can take all the material and lore and expand on it, of course, but you need to do so in a satisfying and meaningful way, not just sort of recycle old ideas. But I guess that's just the attitude with big budget Hollywood films in general lately, is churning out unoriginal, uninspired remakes and reboots. So yeah, this really wasn't a big surprise as to the way this turned out. So if we go into a little bit of the story, it's just a joke. So at the start, this different Terminator is sent back to kill John, which is a different Terminator to the one you get in T2, of course. And because he had fulfilled his mission, which his mission was obviously to kill John, he sort of stuck around and ended up meeting this woman and stayed with her and her son. And she is unaware that he is a cyborg. Meanwhile, he works as a draper. So if you don't know what a draper is, it's basically someone who sells textiles. I mean, it's an absolute joke. I thought Tim Miller wanted to respect, and I thought he was passionate about the franchise, but clearly not. If he's gonna, I mean, what is this? A parody of? This is just like a parody of T1 and T2. It is just so disrespectful. And I know they just put in there, they just put that in there for sort of comedic sake as well, but it just did not work whatsoever. So yeah, so ultimately this movie just wasn't necessary because T2 wrapped up so nicely, so perfectly. The only motivation for these filmmakers who have made all these sequels to T2 is not their love or passion and respect for the original films. It is for one thing and one thing only.
Money.
At the very least, I thought this film would be sort of fun, but it had so many problems that it was just so hard to become invested and immersed. It was just consistently immersion breaking, basically. The other thing as well, there were three main writers who worked in this. Why does it need 3 writers? It's ridiculous. Who is it? So I think so James Cameron was one. I'm pretty sure it was David S. Goyer as well. Just checking now. Yes, you had David S. Goyer. Yeah, James Cameron was part of it as well. Justin Rhodes and Billy Ray. So why is there 3 writers on this? I mean, they really, those 3 writers couldn't come up with something better, really. And it's one of them is David S. Goyer as well. He wrote the Dark Knight, the screenplay for the Dark Knight. Like, really, they couldn't have come up with something better. So yeah, so if I was to give this a final score, it would probably get a 4 or 5 out of 10. Like afterwards, I was thinking, oh, hang on, is this actually worse than Genesis? And sometimes I thought, yeah, it actually is. And I never would have thought that because I absolutely despised Genesis. But at least a lot more happens in Genesis. You know, there's a lot more action. But what let Genesis down was just, well, one big thing was just the acting. The acting was just atrocious in Genesis. I think I'd rather watch Salvation or maybe even Salvation or the third one again. So yeah, that's my review on Terminator Dark Fate. You can probably tell I really didn't like it. Honestly, save your money, guys. Go out and see Joker instead. The quality of that is just so much better. Yeah, you really don't need to see this. That's about it. Hope you enjoyed. Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell as well to be notified of future content. You've been watching Feature Creature, and I'll catch you next time.